People say I ain't no good, and I'm crazy as a loon. Cause I shave my head in the morning, pick guitar in the afternoon. Just like old Chief and Charlie, I like to lay around in the shade. Well, I ain't got no money, but you better believe I got it made. Cause I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, just leave this bald-headed country boy alone.
What's up, folks? Thank y'all for tuning into the Josh Terry podcast. If it sounds weird, it's because I'm in my fucking living room. The air is out at the studio, and of course, today of all days, I get to meet a badass in Nashville last week that you guys already know. And I'm excited to show you like the studio and just like the vibe and how cool it is. And I get back yesterday and it's 100 degrees in the son of a bitch. And I already had Ashley Cook on earlier today. And now I got you, Mr. Chad Prather. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, buddy. You know, that sucks when it's 110 degrees outside and AC goes out and you're not even home to know about it.
Yeah. And there's no telling how long it's been out. I've been gone since the previous Saturday.
Jeez. I've been in Nashville now for 2 weeks. I hadn't been home in a month. And I sent my girlfriend by my house, which is North Houston, Texas. And I said, hey, go by there and check on things. And she said, it's 100 degrees in your house. And so AC had frozen up, had to get somebody out there. I mean, I'm paying a power bill on a house I'm hardly even living in. That's a bitch.
Dude, I was sitting here a while ago, and it's like I'm already moving anyway. I'm moving a little bit closer to Nashville. I love where I'm at down in Georgia. I'm closer to my daughter, but I'm never home. There's no sense in paying for a commercial property in a house every month. And I mean, there's no reason to it. And I'm on the road all the time. So I feel you on that, dude. This shit sucks.
It's brutal. We finally got a little rain in Texas this week. I think it rained for about 10, 15 minutes. I think that's the first time we've had any in 2 months. So I was doing live shows in San Diego last weekend. I came to Nashville from San Diego, and that's when that Hurricane Hillary came through. And, you know, they kept calling it a hurricane. And I said, well, in 49 other states, they call that rain. It wasn't much of a hurricane, and just typical Hillary. She didn't blow. She sucked. And but
Hillary fashion,
100%. But it's good. It's good hanging out with you, man.
You could too. Yeah, we got a hurricane coming through, and in Georgia, the whole fucking place loses their mind when we even get like a chance of a hurricane. And dude, our schools are already canceled here, and the thing hadn't even hit Florida yet.
Yeah. I grew up in Augusta, Georgia. And I went to school, University of Georgia. And I can remember when I was in high school, of course, this was a long time ago, when Hurricane Hugo came through. We didn't know if it was going to hit and come inland on us. And we got a lot of storms off of it. It ended up hitting, around Hilton Head, South Carolina. And I remember even then, man, people just losing their minds. And that was as far in as, like I said, Augusta, Georgia. So, everybody loves a good storm.
Well, dude, I didn't know you grew up here. I grew up in Eastman. So about 2
hours.
How old are you?
I'll be 51 in December, so I'm 50 years old.
Shit, you're not 51.
Dude, I look good for 50. I'm an old man. I'm half 100.
You look good, 51. I look like shit for 35 now. Thanks a lot. I was like, this dude is at best 42. Holy shit, stud motherfucker.
No, I'm 50. I tell people all the time, I said, a lot of people, they got to know me years ago through doing I'd sit in my truck and with the cowboy hat on, and I would talk for a minute or two about things that was going on in life. Had the dog in the back seat, and stuff went kind of viral for me back in 2015. And, it put me on the road doing live shows of comedy and music and things like that. And I tell people, I say, at 50 years old, I don't even think I really knew who I was until 42. People out there trying to figure out their life and their direction for life and who they are and what to do with their life. And it took me forever, man. And so now a lot of times people, they'll introduce me as an internet sensation, which I say is a 21st century way of saying I'm unemployed, but I'm popular. And, I'm like, bro, I'm like a goose. I just wake up in a new world every day and keep on going, thankful to be alive and, keep on rocking. So I feel good for 50, man. It's it's a reality though. And I tell people, I said, I'm older. I know I'm not old. I'm just older, and things aren't falling off yet, but they are falling apart. I can still do all the same stuff I used to do, but I just have different results. Like I can still masturbate, but it gives me heartburn.
Shit, yeah. Dude, I didn't realize. So I took off on social media like probably close to the same time that you did. So probably around
Yeah.
2016, 2017, but it was over Snapchat and some other shit. I used to be called a bearded bastard. Then I got hired by country radio. And then when I got hired by country radio, they were like, no, you can't be called bearded bastard on here anymore. So like I had to tone it down a little bit, but I found like my niche in it. You kind of navigated the waters before anybody else knew how to fucking do it though.
Well, it's funny. I know a lot of people now that are social media influencers who kind of credit me with doing something as simple as I did. At the time, I had done radio, I'd done country music radio, and then I started doing television, and I was hosting a travel show on a cable network that nobody was watching, but I did 3 seasons of that. I went viral during the first season of that. So I always tell people, as a comedian, my career is different. It's exactly backwards than what most comedians do. Most comedians start out doing comedy clubs, and then they'll do some theaters when they build a little bit of an audience, and then they start doing social media, which grows. Then it turns into TV. I was doing TV, which led to a big social media push, and the virality of it. And then I started doing big theaters because I had a built-in audience. And these days, I enjoy going out and doing comedy clubs. I don't have to do them, but I like to do them. And but I've incorporated a bunch of stuff. I've always tried to. I grew up on music, country music. I tell people that I come from a family of musicians, but I'm the least musician of all of them. And I come from a family of cowboys, and I'm the least cowboy of all of them. But I'm the only person in my family that was ever able to take those two things and make any damn money with it. So, I've always taken music, and I said, I can tell a joke, but what if I could sing a joke? And so I started writing funny songs years ago that kind of had a country, twist to it. And so a lot of people, they look at me and they say, what is it? Do you do? Do you do music? Do you do comedy? Do you do, I do a lot of political analysis, podcasting and commentary and stuff. And I was like, I just do it all, man. Whatever floats my boat that day.
Well, you're an entertainer. I mean, that's where like I picked up on it a long time ago. You can't be a one-trick pony if you want to be in entertainment. Like you got to be able to do it all. You got to be well versed in a lot of stupid shit just to be able to make a life out of this. And you got to be able to take some of the worst days of other people's lives and turn it into find the positive in it. And it is a special thing. Like it is a talent that I don't think most people could do it. Like there's people like me and you that only can do one thing as far as being it like TikTokers or Instagrammers, whatever. They're good at one thing. But if people like me and you, we can sit here and we can do bullshit like this and make it entertaining. We can go do a live show in Nashville and it be entertaining. Folks don't realize how hard that is. And the fact that you still do comedy clubs, that's something I've always wanted to do, but I don't really know if it's for me or not. I just like kind of getting loud and obnoxious. But when you said that, you made me think of somebody. So there's this person, and I have to say person because they're one of them non-binary fucks. And I don't know what I'm supposed to call them, but I'm just going to call them a person. They call themselves on TikTok and shit Lucky the Comedian. This person hates me. This person despises me, and I don't know why. All she does or it does is get on there and talks about how men can't fuck and all this other shit. And this the trashiest. It's the set that you think a non-binary person will get up there and bash on somebody, a straight male or straight female, right? And there's some stuff that I posted on TikTok, and I've got a bigger account on TikTok, and I don't know how. And like this person just started commenting on videos, like bashing me and shit. And they were like, yeah, if you want to come see me, I'm booked all the time. And I went and looked at their stuff, and each one of them was open mic nights. And like you would be one of the ones that I would give an example to this person if they're listening, because they still listen to my shit. And it's like, this is the difference between a person getting paid to go do shows and you being fully booked at open mic nights right here.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's two things I take away from what you just said. One, and as a general life lesson to your listeners, I will say this. You know, those people out there that like to jump on those trolls that like to bash people who are doing their thing. I mean, you know, you just mind your own business, you do your own thing, and then kind of put yourself out there and let the world judge it. The people that want to get on there like that person they're always insecure and jealous of people who have confidence. You know what I mean? And for you to get on and do what you do boldly is offensive to them because they can't imagine anybody being that sure of themselves. And you know, the other thing is, when I started doing live comedy, I'd been on stage my whole life, you know, doing a bunch of things, but when I started doing comedy, I said, well, I don't want to go out there and say, hey, look, I'm an internet sensation. I'm some viral guy that everybody wants to meet and see or some shit like that. I wanted to actually respect the craft of comedy because
absolutely, thank
you know, you have these social media people and they get a bad rap. Not as bad as it used to be, but they get a bad rap from the comedians who have kind of dug their way up in the trenches, doing the open mics, doing the clubs, taking whatever gig they could get. I mean, doing a, you know, fucking pool party if they had to. But they looked at these guys and said, man, these guys haven't earned their dues. And so I didn't want to be that guy that just came out and said, look at me, you want me to sign a t-shirt or something. I wanted to respect the craft of comedy. And so I've tried to do that, you know, and so these folks out there that call themselves comedians, and I listen, I'll be honest with you, Josh, I'm still real hesitant after 10 years of doing it, of calling myself a comedian. I call myself I call myself a humorist or a storyteller or something like that. And a lot of my comedian friends tell me just to knock that shit out. They're like, bro, at this point, it's false humility. I mean, you're doing it. And so, you know, it's an interesting thing because there is a craft to it. I mean, I would never look at somebody, you know, that was slinging a guitar around, pretending to get up there and sing songs if they're not capable of doing it, and then calling themselves a country music singer or writer. When you and I know some folks that are actually out there doing it, it's an insult to them. So it's interesting. Those people online, though, they're a pain in the ass.
Dude, I'm the same way. I have to all the time. Like, people will be like, hey, you need to try this when it comes to comedy. And it's like, no, because my number one guy of all time is Richard Pryor. And Chappelle is right there. I can't put together a bit in my head in paper. It doesn't matter, as good as they could. And then I hear people trying to do it that just had a following on social media. And it's like, do you realize that you don't compare? Like, somebody that's actually paid their due, a Joey Diaz will never be the most famous person on the planet, but he's one of the most funniest sons of bitches you could ever come across.
Yep.
They had to pay those dues in shitty clubs and everything. The same way I get mad about not internet sensations, these TikTok folks all of a sudden who think they can do country music. That aggravates the shit out of me. The same way that, like, I get mad at people thinking they can do comedy. I hold them both in the same highest of regard. And watching people shit on it, getting out there and just thinking, oh, because I had a following, I'm going to be accepted and I'm going to be funny, is bullshit. It aggravates the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I you know, my thing is, I'm for people trying everything. Like if you want to jump out of an airplane, jump out of a damn airplane. You know, everybody starts somewhere, and I say do it. But this idea that, you know, I go jump out of an airplane and I'm like, you know, my guy that was a, you know, Force Recon Marine with 8 deployments, and he's jumped out of an airplane, parachuted into the desert. You know, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put myself up against that. So I kind of see it as that same thing. It's like, one of the things, I wrote a book that came out in 2020 called Am I Crazy? And in that book, I tell people, I said, get the book just to read the intro, because I talk about what social media does to people. It gives people a platform, and whether they deserve it or not, everybody, you create an account, you got a platform, right? But it gives people this false sense of authority. Like, now I have a voice and I can say whatever the hell I want to say, and I can pretend to be an expert, and people better listen to me or I'm gonna get pissed off, because everybody on the internet's an expert. And I say, the problem is there's no accountability and there's no responsibility to go with that voice or that platform. So people all have this pseudo false sense of celebrity that everybody's supposed to be listening to them. And it leads to some dangerous places sometimes, but it definitely leads to a pompous, asshole-ish society that everybody thinks they deserve to be heard, you know? And it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been at Red Door and I either been with Bobby or somebody else late at night. And you'll
Yeah.
have this pompous ass walk in. And like you'll hear somebody, not saying that Bobby's ever said this, but you'd probably get a good idea if he had. But like you'll get somebody that's like, why does that person walking around like they own this fucking place?
Yeah.
And then like you'll go look them up and they got a couple 100,000 people that follow them on TikTok or something. And it's just like, how do you think that you're more important than the person that's sitting right here that's got 10 number ones as a songwriter, or somebody
Yeah.
over in the corner that's got number one hits? And they don't want the acknowledgement. They're just trying to be an everyday person. But you like that false sense of celebrity drives me batshit crazy
Yeah.
with people.
You're talking about Bobby, you're talking about Bobby Pinson. I mean, he's one of the best songwriters that's ever lived.
Oh,
And I've seen people walk up to Bobby. I've seen people walk up to one of my buddies and partners, Chris Wallen, who's multi-platinum, and various others. And I've seen these people walk up and they start almost kind of telling these guys how great they are, right? And I've heard Bobby tell me before, he's like, you know what? You do your thing and I'll respect you. Why don't you let me tell you if you're great or not, rather than you come tell me how great you are right off the bat. And that's the difference is let other people sing your praises. That's why I say humility goes a long way in this day and age. And just, you might be the best thing in the world, but I promise you, there's a guy, there's a gal, there's somebody serving beer down the road here in Nashville that's a better fucking singer than you are.
Absolutely.
And you'll never hear of them. You'll never know it. And they may never get a shot, but I guarantee you ain't as good as they are. And that could be any random bartender in this town.
You ain't lying. I got to see somebody get so humbled last year. Do you know what Creative Vets is in Nashville?
Yeah.
One of my favorite organizations ever. So like we play in their golf tournament every year, or for the past 2 years. Last year, we're at the taco bar getting food after we get done. Everybody's got a good buzz and all this good shit. This girl, I guess she's a younger social media person. She comes up and gets right in front of Aaron Lewis. And she introduces herself to Aaron Lewis. And she has no idea who the fuck Aaron Lewis is, not whatsoever. And he couldn't have been nicer about it. Like, could not. And this is like me not knowing Aaron behind him in the bar, just, oh shit, I'm standing next to fucking Aaron Lewis. Like right now, like this,
right.
And everything. Like I'm even fangirling because I'm such an Aaron Lewis fan. And this girl, and like the whole time, and then he walks away. And I said to him, I was like, she had no idea who you were. And he's like, you get that sometimes. But the girl, everybody went and sat down to eat. About 5 minutes later, this girl walks up back to him, embarrassed as hell, apologizing. And he couldn't have been nicer about the whole situation. But it was just like some of these people you just don't ever realize in Nashville, particularly, you just don't ever know who the hell you're standing next to. And that false sense of celebrity or whatever is like you just don't know. You're making yourself look like an ass to people for no fucking reason.
Yeah. For years I've been coming to this town and also, going out to places like I was gonna say going out to Hollywood. I used to do a lot of writing for the sitcoms and stuff like that, and almost had my own sitcom. If I hadn't been a conservative guy and then COVID hit, I might have been on TV now. But you go out there and you see these. Let's take Nashville for example. You see these really cool, good-looking people get on stage, man, and they just blow people away. And you don't understand the team of nerds that are behind these fuckers that made them that way. The people that the guys and just the dorks that are back there writing these great ass songs and doing these incredible, the work behind the scenes. And it's like, you're exactly right, Josh. You don't know who you're standing next to. And that's one of the things why I say, man, you never know. You better just mind yourself because you end up putting your foot in your mouth real quick.
Yeah, I can't wait till today, and I've almost seen it happen before. I'm waiting for Bobby to be in a bad mood, and somebody just walk up to him when they shouldn't and not know, and just tell him to get his ass out the way or something, and let him go the fuck off.
Well, and the scary thing about that, a guy like Bobby, they're so damn good with words. I mean, that's why they write number one songs, and he can do it right there to your face. Guys like Bobby are never without something to say. and they make you feel real small real quick if they want to. And so I'm thankful that those guys have an element of humility. I mean, they're living examples of exactly what we're describing.
Did you get a chance? I didn't even know that if y'all knew this or not. So for the round the other night, I record those and I put them out as individual episodes. You need to go back to listen to you and Bobby the other night on stage together with Jason Michael Carroll. It is fucking hilarious.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
The first line from Bobby Pinson is, "Hey, if you're a Democrat, now would be a good time to go take a shit." Or if you're, and it's just like, this is why I'm friends with him. This is why I connect so good with him. I don't like anybody. I'm about like Bobby. I don't like anyone. And y'all tripped me out on stage. It was so good watching you up there with them the other night. And I didn't really know you played. And it was good, dude. I enjoyed
well, you know, I got sick a few weeks ago, and it's been crazy. I still don't have my voice back. I'm got all this congestion shit going on, and I traveled. Like I said, I've been on the road for the last month. Had not been home, and I got sick on the road. Muscled through it, and I saw Bobby. You know, I hollered at Bobby. I said, "I'm in town." He came over and saw me, and we were down there at the bar, and he goes, "Dude, tomorrow night, this round, we don't have a third. You're going to do it." I said, "Bobby, I don't have a voice, man." I said, I don't even have my guitar with me. I said, "I don't even have a pair of boots with me." He goes, "I don't give a shit. You're going to do it." So I wound up, I ran and got a used guitar. I actually went and bought that guitar I had the other night. I bought that used guitar with old strings on it and changed the battery on it to make sure it would work. And then I said, "Well, we'll see where this goes." Because I can't sing and I don't have a voice, but you know how it is. I mean, when you're up on stage with guys like Jason and Bobby, I mean, they're such pros anyway. They take a little bit of the pressure off of you. But you know, hey, I had a couple of tequila drinks and I was ready to rock and roll, so I had a blast, dude. So thanks for having me up there.
A couple my ass. If you had as many as I had, you were struggling. Towards the end of it, I'm telling you. Well, everybody that comes to any event that we do, they expect it to be a party, right? I mean, anything that we do. So we have I only recorded an hour of the podcast on stage, and then we went to 5 writers rounds. It's usually 2 hours, 3 hours that we recorded the podcast with artists coming up there to play, bullshit and talking with them. And then we'll do like a round or two. Well, that was a 6-hour show. So the second I'm usually off stage by 2 hours in. And I don't have to do much. Man, 6 hours, and everybody in there was like, "Hey, congratulations on doing 1 year of shows here. Here's a shot of tequila. Here's a whatever. Here." I don't even know how I know how it's called Adderall, how I function to get my ass up there towards the end of the night, because I was done. I was hurting. I didn't move the next day. I stayed out till Red Door was closed, and I didn't move the next day.
Well, our buddy Vaden had kept me out the night before till 3 a.m. And so that was already my problem. And so then that night I didn't stay out too late after your deal, because I knew I had to be in the studio the next day. And I said, "Man, these guys will kill me if they know I'm out this late 2 nights in a row after already not having a voice." And so I peeled out of there, and Bobby sent me a text message. He goes, "You know, where are you?" And I said, "Man, I'm in bed." He goes, "You pussy." I said, "Bro, I'm old, man. I'm old. I got to lay down." But man, well, that was a cool night. That shit like that event was so good. It makes me miss being in Nashville like I used to be. And sometimes it gets real tempting not just to be one of the statistics and move my fat ass back here, you know. That was a good time.
I can't. I go up there for a week at a time every month to record the shows with the artists that I have to in person. If I lived up there full time, I wouldn't be miserable. My bank account would be, for one, but I would be in the worst health ever. I would be on death's doorstep at least once a week. And because I can't say no to a good time. I am incapable of knowing that there's women and whiskey and country music somewhere at any point in time. I can't turn it down.
Well, I'll tell you how good of a night it was. We got into that deal, and I think right through the first song that I was trying to pluck away at, my left contact lens fell out, and I caught it. And that's how dried out on tequila I was. I caught it, popped it in my mouth, see if I could wet it up, and it wouldn't go back in my eye. So finally, I just spit it over on the stage. And my girlfriend, bless her heart, she's in them shorty shorts. She come up there. She started trying to shimmy her skinny ass up on stage to see if she could find that contact lens, showing her bare ass pretty much to the entire room. And I was like, babe, let it go. I got more contact lenses at home. It was a good night, bro. When you drinking and singing your eyeballs out, it's a lot of fun.
God, and it was just crazy. Like Jason has been on the show before. Like he was on the show last week, and I've got to know him a little bit over the past couple months or whatever. But him and Bobby back together doing emotional shit was some of the most. I mean, there were people that hung around for that round that I would have never thought that would hang around, that don't stick around that long. And you're part of it too, man. You had people out there laughing your fucking their asses off.
Well, I can, that's my thing. It's like I knew I couldn't sing, but I could definitely, do the chops when it comes to that. And Jason called me the next day. I had to drive down to Alabama. He called me the next day, and we were just talking about it and different things. And I told him, I said, man, when you started singing A List of Lies, I said, look, I'm a man. I'm a red-blooded American male. I got a little bit of testosterone left in my balls, and I'm strong. I still got some hair on my back. And I said, I was fine, but I'm looking out there. My girlfriend, she's out there. She's got her phone up, and she's videoing it. And she's got this little thing, and where her bottom lip, when she starts to cry, that little bottom lip starts to quivering. And I was like, I saw her doing that, and you singing A List of Lies, and I was like, fuck it, I'm done. Yeah. I said, you made me cry, dude.
Yeah, he's got me. He's got a song that him and this other fella, if you ain't met him yet, and I'm sure you have, Little Skinny.
Little Skinny.
Yeah, they just wrote, and it's called it's something where it's not Where I Find God, but it's along those lines. And they just wrote it, and he played it on the show, on the podcast a couple weeks ago for the first time. It's so good. It's not A List of Lies, but dude, he tells his story while we're on the podcast. It's about A List of Lies. When it first came out, they were going from Walmart to Walmart signing CDs back when you used to do that type of shit. And he says that while he's doing that, you would always get people that would come up and say how emotional and everything it was and all that shit. He said this one time, this dad walks up and he's got the kids right behind him and the wife right behind him. And he's just fucking squalling, just tears everywhere. And the dad looks at Jason and he said, just thank you for A List of Lies. And Jason's just like, yeah, you're welcome, dude. He said, no, I don't think you understand. I'm the abuser in that situation. That just really tore me up. Yeah. And it's just like, please don't tell that story in person, Jason, because everyone's going to cry and no one's going to fucking want to listen to you again.
I've told I've told people for years, I said, country music is a powerful thing when it's done right. It is the song of the backbone of America, those blue collar, hardworking people. And all the values and traditional things that we tend to think of when we think of, country folk, right? Those people that just kind of pull themselves up by their bootstraps and blaze a trail. And when they fall down, they pick themselves up, dust themselves off, keep going. I said, it's their story, working 6 days a week, go to church on Sunday, back up on Monday at the crack of dawn, doing it again. They love their woman and they love their kids, and they're just trying to put a dollar in their pocket so they can put food on the table. And I said, but then you add in cheating, drinking, and dying, and you got country music, right? And so, my buddy Chris Wallen, who wrote Don't Blink, which of course was #1 song for Chesney for I think a couple of months, he said, dude, if I could kill somebody in every song, I'd be a whole lot richer than I am. And I said, that's the thing. Nowadays, you got girls in cut off blue jeans on a diamond plate tailgate on the back of a pickup truck that's backed up to a bonfire in a pasture while speakers go boom, boom. And she sips a little something out of a Dixie cup. I said, that's not country music. I mean, I get it for what it is, but that's not country music. It's so damn watered down with that shit. I want to hear somebody cheating, drinking, and dying, man. And a song like what that A List of Lies is, I mean, God, that thing will stab you in the heart, pluck it out, kick it around on the ground for a little while, give it back to you, and strong.
Yeah, dude. Even Bobby's The Shave. The Shave.
Oh, God.
Man, let me tell you, first time I'd ever heard this song, I still don't know why he invited me back because we were not buddies yet. I was with Vaden and Bobby late as hell one night at Red Door hanging out. It's the first time I've ever been around Bobby. And he's like, hey, we're going to go back over to the studio and pick and play for a little bit. You want to go? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm not telling Bobby Pinson I don't want to go hang out at the studio with him at 4:00 in the morning. We
Yeah.
get over there. I lost my granddaddy Christmas morning 2021. Yeah, so and he played me the shave a couple months after he passed, like early 2022. And so I was still not touchy, that I'm still mourning or whatever. And I just remember sitting in that little studio or that little room with the jukebox and all that kind of shit. And I'm just like, how fucking dare you? Like, but now every time I see him, like one of the things that helped me heal with my grandfather was the shave. And those songs like that, the ones you were just talking about, I think it's a way of life. I think the reason why you love comedy and the way I do, and you love country music the way I do, to us, it's more than just a song or a joke. It's a way of life. It's the shit I still remember riding around with my granddaddy or my daddy listening to in a truck, hearing Merle Haggard singing about shit. And when I'm 8 years old, no 8-year-old should be fucking singing about, but damn it, I'm going to. All right. And to me, I love a lot of the stuff that comes out now, but it used to be the whole album. And then you had like at the very end of the album, you had the artist pick with like a gospel cut or something like that. And now to me, it's completely reversed what is released. It's the generic bullshit that everybody puts out now. And then the artist gets to put out that one heartfelt, touchy-feely song at the end of that is real country music. So it's like a 10% vibe that you only get now when it comes to country that me and you love. And I think that's so fucked up. I think it's also politics. I think it's a lot of bullshit. What do you think about, speaking of that, what do you think about the Oliver Anthony guy?
Well, that's a good point. You know, it connects there. I think that's what resonated so much with people on that song. I mean, if you look at it, half the music that was downloaded in the last week, half of all music downloaded in the last week in America was Oliver Anthony. That's fucking insane, dude. I mean, regardless of what anybody thinks about this guy or what, I mean, that's incredible. And people are like, well, I don't think it's just him out singing in a field with a dog. I think there's a team behind him and all that. It's like, who gives a shit, dude? If there's a team out there that can reproduce that, then every damn singer in America needs to be trying to work with them. You know, this was just something that resonated with people. I mean, lyrically, you could, I mean, you go over to Belmont University, there's a songwriting professor over there that'll tell you that lyrically there's a better way to sing that song or write that song, but it didn't matter. I mean, he just pulled his heart out, laid it on the table and said, this is what I'm feeling. And back to your point, I think that, you know, country music specifically, I want people to tell me how they look at the world.
Yeah.
And every now and then, and sometimes don't just sing me something that rhymes. I mean, anybody can rhyme something. I mean, shit, there's an app on your phone that'll tell you how to rhyme a word. But my thing is, tell me how you're looking at the world. And there's a good chance that if there's some pain in it, then I can probably look at the world the same way too. And that's what I think that kid did in a way that just kind of kicked everybody in the balls. And they said, hey, aesthetically and lyrically and acoustically, there's nothing overwhelmingly about this guy in a field with a dobro playing this song. But boy, it just really grabbed the soul of what a lot of people in America are feeling right now. So, you know, it tells me that you can, that the, you know, without trying to sound too cliche, that the soul of America is still alive, at least the America that I see and that I value. And so it's an impressive thing.
I think it's a song of the times is why it's so good. Mm-hmm. I think if there's many other times, if that would have came out in certain situations, that it wouldn't have been a hit. I think everybody's so fucking sick and tired of the way that we're having to live these days. I think it's just the right time for that song to come out. There's so many people that are tired of watching other agendas get thrown in your face and you having to be told that you're supposed to be okay with it. And that if you stand up for yourself and your beliefs, that you can't. Like you're wrong for just like, I've had people that just because I don't understand, if you want to be called a furry and you want to identify as a fucking furry, that's fine. But don't tell me I got to believe it. Don't tell me that there's a kid in a certain school system that is around here, if you have not seen it, that thinks that it's a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Thinks it's a cat so much that the school was thinking that it had to probably put in like a fucking litter box. And it was made a joke to start off with on social media. But then it blew up to where, shit, if they really think they're a cat, do we have to make sure that everything's okay for this person? And it's like, no, fuck, we don't. And I'm so tired of other people telling me what I'm supposed to believe and then thinking I'm so stupid that I'm going to be like, okay, it's a cat. Like, it's like, no, that's where I have a problem. I don't care what you want to be. I don't care who you want to love. I don't care what you do. I really do not give a fuck. I like my guns, my drugs, and my country music and my women. That's what I like. I ain't nobody finna change that shit. So whatever you like, I'm fine with it. But just don't tell me I gotta fucking believe that it's real.
Well, people are sick to death of it. And I think that's what, with the whole Dylan Mulvaney on the Bud Light can, I think that's what set that off for corporate America. I mean, that's a historic thing that happened.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're scared of a guy on a can or a girl on a can or whatever they call it. I was like, no. The issue is this: you're telling us to swallow something that we're not going to swallow. I mean, you keep cramming this down like it's some kind of normal thing. I'm like, we're not going to accept it as normal when some kid's in the corner of the classroom shitting in a box. I mean, that's not something we're going to say is okay. In fact, for me, I'm going to make fun of it because I don't care if you're gay or straight or black or white or fat or skinny or male, female, he, him, they, them, she, him, or whatever the fuck you think you are. My deal is, and they're criminalizing this shit in parts of the world right now, where if you misgender somebody or something like that, look, you've taken all these years to try to figure out who the hell you are and what your pronouns are, and those things might change on a whim in the next 30 minutes. You can't expect me to walk up and in the first 30 seconds of knowing you know how you want to identify. That's the most pompous, arrogant bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to penalize somebody for getting it wrong. Look, if I want to call you by something, I'll call you that. I mean, just like I'll call Little Skinny. That's his nickname. That's what he wants to be called. I call him. I don't care. But, I shouldn't be penalized if I call him by his real name or something. So, and again, it's not about disrespecting people. The deal is people like us, the system is disrespecting us because we're giving you the freedom and the right to choose to be who and how you want to be. Go be that. But don't try to cram that stuff down my throat. Because at the end of the day, that's going to backfire for you real bad. And if you're already hurting with identity issues, don't get around me because it ain't going to go well.
No, I'm 100% the same. My problem with the Dylan Mulvaney or whatever their name is that went on the can is, and I'm sure you're the same way, there's a lot of men and women that should have been put on that can and idolized before somebody just going through sex change. Like, I ain't seen Pat Tillman on a fucking can. I hadn't seen a lot of veterans that have actually put their lives on the line, or firefighters or first responders or police officers. Why do we idolize the people that do nothing fucking for us? And then if me and you sit here and say, hey, I stand for this person, this is the person I'm going to look up to, and they're going to be a hero to me. I'm not saying these other people can't be a hero to you too, but come on now, which one really did something for you in the scheme of things? Which one was willing to die for you? And you're going to get mad at me because I have a fucking opinion on it. Yeah.
And why is my opinion or how I see the world different from yours? Why doesn't it share just as much value? I mean, I got feelings too, right? You're supposed to respect my feelings and how I see.
Well, what a lot of people miss in my eyes, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. A lot of people they're forgetting what the word supremacy means. Like if I sit here and I say to you that I'm going to, I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. Like you're allowed to have your opinions. Supremacy is if I tell you something and that has to be right, or I'm going to belittle you, I'm going to be ugly to you. White supremacy is fucking bad. Everybody in the world can agree that white supremacy is fucking wrong. Nazis were fucking trash. Okay, but still, they thought that their opinions were more popular or were better than everybody else's. They were the right opinions of the world. So they pushed that agenda until they were fucking Nazis. That's what's going on right now with liberals or whoever, whatever you fucking want to identify as, or however you want to say it. You're making your opinions out to be superior to everybody else's. And that's the problem that I have.
Yeah, the reason I'm in town right now, the project I'm working on, is because of my record label, which is was started by some guys, not the least of which is my buddy Chris Wallen. As I said, he's a multi-platinum songwriter. He's written for everybody from Montgomery Gentry, Garth Brooks, Kenny Chesney, tons of stuff. And so they started Based Records. It's BASTE, which is kind of a play on the words. They're based, but you got a little chicken leg for a logo, which is cool. But Based Records, they wanted to start a non-woke record label that could not be canceled because they're not dependent on the power brokers' money. They got the money behind them, and they said we can put what we want out. And the biggest thing is they won't put out real music. I mean, if it's a rock song, let's do real rock. If it's country, let's do real country. Not this pandering to the masses kind of stuff. Yeah. But we got a song that we're working on that we got to put the vocals to it now. But Chris and I wrote it. It's called Watered Down, and it just talks about where we've gotten to as a country. That we're we've had our asses kicked for the last few years with the COVID and the lockdowns and the mandates, and we've just gotten to a point where we're so weak that we've gotten watered down, and our truth is watered down, our history is watered down. We've watered down what a woman is. Now you got a Dylan Mulvaney that can come out there and supposedly be just as much of a woman as anybody else, which is bullshit. And our country music's watered down. I mean, the facts on TV that you watch on the news is all watered down. So it's a powerful thing of kind of where we are as a country. But some of the things we say in that song, y'all thought, you thought Try That in a Small Town with Aldine was bad. That ain't nothing compared to some of the things that we're saying in music. And it's what people need to hear. It's what they want to hear as well. And so, we started a deal. I kind of, people think I like to piss people off, and maybe I do. I don't know, but I like to provoke people, right? Yeah. So whether it's through music or comedy, I want to provoke. Dude, you know how it is. I mean, listen, I tell people all the time. I said, you walk. There's two rooms in America. When you walk in, you should be changed. One should be a comedy club, and another should be a church. And both of them are so damn watered down. Comedy ain't comedy no more. Church is more of a motivational place to go to feel good about yourself. And I like to stir it. I want to get people back to critical thinking and complex thought. And if I can stir you up with music or stir you up with comedy to do that, and then let's say it pisses you off along the way, you should know that first and foremost, I do love you. I care about you. But I also, I'm not afraid of you. And so because I'm not afraid of you, I'm willing to provoke you. And if that provoking you pisses you off, well, that's your problem because you're too soft skinned. My girlfriend and I, we started a company called, I've got a lot of apparel companies, and one of them is called realwomensclub.com. I mean, we got shirts on there that say things like, real women don't have balls, and real women aren't men, and toxic masculinity, and I'll make you a sandwich and shit like that. Because it was like, look, we want to remind people that, first of all, traditional roles, there ain't nothing wrong with that. No. Women being women and men being men, there ain't nothing wrong with that. No such thing as toxic masculinity. People are either toxic or they're not. There's nothing toxic about masculinity in and of itself. And so, we do things like that, trying to provoke people and say, listen, and they're like, well, what difference does it make if a guy wants to dress up like a girl or considers himself a woman? Well, when a man puts on a women's swimsuit and jumps in the pool with a bunch of other women who have worked their asses off their whole life to get a scholarship and accomplish something, and now he's going to come in and replace them, take their place, and steal their awards and their rewards and steal their recognition. That's bullshit, man. And we got to step up and say, man, we're losing a whole generation of people. I always joke about the Me Too movement. Remember when everybody's putting the pussy hats on their head and walking around? And I said, what happened to the Me Too movement? That thing kind of went away as soon as they gave Woman of the Year to Bruce Jenner. And it's almost like those women just threw their hands up and were like, fuck it, we're not walking down the street no more. I mean, it's a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, we're just forgetting, like, a lot of that I have a problem with is I like equality. I really do. I like that you should play on an even playing field, regardless of what it is. It's not an even playing field in some of those cases, not at all. That the swimmer that you're talking about that came in and just beat the shit out of all these women that have worked off their asses their entire life was a fucking joke. And you don't have to sit here and listen to me and you say it. Listen to the women that's on the podium with them saying it. Listen to the people that still don't understand why somebody got Woman of the Year that's not a biological woman, and you have women out there that have busted their ass. Call a spade a spade. You want to give somebody that's transitioning an award, make a category for them. Make it to where it's fair for transitioning people to do stuff against transitioning people. And then that's what you got, tranny of the fucking year. Like, yeah, let's just do that. Like, let a woman get the award for women and men for men. It's not fair. And the lines are so blurred now. If you're sitting in another country and you're waiting to fucking invade us, they're like, oh, we got them. Like, just wait. Just wait till they got a tranny president and they're softer than a wet cupcake. It's over with. We're going to fucking get America and it's going to be done. It's not fair. Like, I've made the comment, I'm not the dad. Like, my daughter will be 12 in September and she plays middle school ball and travel ball and all this shit. Right. And I have made the statement over and over again that if some little boy decides they want to identify as a girl and they want to try to play softball with them, then I'm going to identify as a 12-year-old girl too. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit some piss rockets off of them and remind them that it's not fair. It's not an even playing field.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll find out real fast with stuff like that. You take William Thomas, who identified as Leah Thomas. And I wrote a song when that story came out about him winning that championship. I wrote a song called I Want to Be a Woman and Compete. And I probably should have sang it the other night in the round, but I didn't want to really go that far, pissing people off. But it's a great song. People can find it out there. If you just get on Facebook or whatever, just Google my name and, Want to Be a Woman and Compete. The thing went crazy viral. I wrote that song in about 15 minutes and I love that freaking song. And it's like, it's poking fun at the thing. And Riley Gaines is a friend of mine. She was the University of Kentucky swimmer who came in second place. Actually, she came first.
But me up. I want her on the show. I have been in her.
Yeah, I will. I'll connect you guys.
Time and time again.
Yeah, I'll connect you guys because she's an amazing person, strong person. And hey, here's a biological woman. I shouldn't have to even qualify it with that word, but here's a woman who's stronger than a lot of men I know. So, she's just a stud. But as good as she is, there were times when a guy like William Thomas, who identified as Leah, jumped in the pool, and one time he won the race by 50 seconds. If you're beating people by a full fucking minute, dude, that's not fair. I mean, that's not even equitable. It's nowhere near competition anymore at this point. And for them to tell you that you have to accept that is the height of fantasy. I've said forever, sort of tongue in cheek, but it's real. I said, the Chinese are sitting over there training their men to come over here and climb our women. And that way they can be taller because they're going to come over here and rape everybody and start having big Chinese babies, with white women. And what are we going to do? Our men ain't going to do anything. They're posing on the cover of fucking Vanity Fair magazine with their hands in each other's pockets playing circle jerk. So, we got these beta soy cuck boys out there that are, sitting back watching the world go by and bitching about something and probably sitting in the road while, protesting a climate change bullshit while, stopping traffic. That's at some point in time, men got to step up and be men and say, call this shit out.
Yeah, I'm agree. 110% agree with you. And like, do you remember, I don't know if y'all ever had any women like this back in the day. If you were so good at softball back in the day, they would try to talk girls into playing baseball. Like around here, we've had a couple. It used to not be where all of a sudden I'm going to play down. It was an honor for you to get to play up. And
Yeah.
like I've seen some girls. I still remember we were at an all-star tournament, probably 12 or 13 years old, and there was a girl on the other team that struck every one of us the fuck out. And we thought she was
Really?
the coolest fucking. Oh, she was gas. I don't know how much farther she got playing baseball in her life, but she was a beast. And
Yeah.
like, I think there's something really cool about that to where she played up. And now you've got these guys that aren't good enough in male sports, but they know they can compete and like excel in female sports. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go down here and I'm playing down and I'm gonna make these women look bad. It's fucking stupid. And there ought to be grown ass men grabbing them by the back of their head saying, look, if you can love who you want to love, that's completely fine. But don't take a scholarship, don't take a trophy or an award out of this little girl's hands because you couldn't make it in a man's world as an athlete. That's complete bullshit.
Yeah, that's the
People are
thing.
scared
And,
to
you know,
say it.
people want to say, "Oh, yeah," and then people say, "Well, you guys are being intolerant." Well, I am intolerant of that.
I am too.
When you start replacing women, when you start taking away their stuff, that's not okay, man. And I can't believe that so many women are applauding it and actually okay with it. And people say, "Well, who's doing that?" Well, Dylan Mulvaney, they just gave him a streamy, which I guess is for being viral or some shit online.
Yeah.
And gave him an award. And you look at the audience, this video clip, I shared it on my social media, my Instagram, Twitter, @WatchChad. And I shared it on there. And if you look, it's only women that are applauding this dude. Just all the women are applauding. And the men are sitting there trying to figure this son of a bitch out. And it's like, why are women applauding this? Why are you willing to applaud being replaced? Women used to protest that shit, and now they're celebrating it. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think it's
that's
all
the world
women.
we're living in, dude.
I think they pick the women.
No, it's not all women. It's not all women, but it wasn't that all.
I think when you see rooms like that, I think they have purposely picked the women that are going to agree with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you go to my Facebook, if you go to my TikTok, my Instagram, and I post anything about that kind of shit, there's one or two Karens that'll pop up. And the rest of them are women that are just like, why the fuck is this going on? Like, why are we doing this? Like, we're allowing someone just to beat us.
Yeah, that's what we started that whole thing, with Real Women's Club in order to support real women and get that messaging out there. Look, Genesis 2:22 says God created them man and woman, male and female. He created them. I mean, that's pretty clear right there. And everything else a violation of design. I'm not saying that people psychologically and mentally don't deal with some issues, but that's such a small statistic. I've started calling this thing not transgenderism, it's friendsgenderism.
Yes,
it's become, you mentioned furries earlier. I mean, we've had punk, we've had goth, we've had emo, all this kind of stuff where young people are wrestling with who they are. But this is a more dangerous thing, and because now you got these people out there that are actually manipulating children with this stuff and saying, do you feel like a boy? Do you feel like a girl? And maybe we should put you on hormone blockers. I mean, you're talking about doing stuff medically and hormonally to kids that you cannot reverse, dude. And you get into that. That's some really seriously fucked up Nazi shit going on.
You want to hear a fucked up number? And I don't have it exactly in front of me, but anybody that's listening, before I even give you the statistics on it, go look it up yourself. Any child from a therapist or doctor or whatever that is under the age of 12 that has been put on hormone blockers or whatever because they think that they are a different gender, their suicide rate by the time they're 18 is like fucking 60-something%.
It's huge.
You're telling a confused child that doesn't even know who they are yet, what they want to be, who they love. You're telling them because you're a pushy parent and you're woke that, hey, you got, we're pushing your agenda. These woke families are fucking disgusting to me in the first place. But it's like, you're not even allowing your child, who could be the best male football player in the country, if they decide they want to be that by the time they get to middle school and high school, you're telling them, oh no, just because you played with a Barbie one time, you're a girl. Like, and then
well,
you're
what
gonna
you have,
them.
what you have is, obviously it's Munchausen syndrome by proxy,
Yeah.
right? Where these parents, and this is what I've said, we live in a country, America, no doubt about it, has been the greatest country on the planet. And I've been around the world. I spent a lot of time in third world countries, and America's incredible. Just go to Nigeria like I did for a long time and come back, and you'll realize how great America has been. But people, they do have privilege here. They do have a lot of comforts, and there's things that, they've been told that you're supposed to be guilty. Like we're supposed to feel guilty for being white or male or Christian or, being from the South. All these things I'm supposed to apologize for, and I ain't apologizing for shit. No. But I'm supposed to apologize for all these things. And whether people have white guilt or whatever it may be, they realize that they're so privileged that they can't identify as an oppressed people. So one of the things that people do is they start saying, you know what, I'm going to put it off on my kid. And this is a very simplistic way of explaining this, because I can go as deep on it as anybody wants to go. But they start putting their kid through this mental stuff. And now that parent, if you want to call them that, they can come out and say, oh, they stand up in their little school board meeting and say, as the parent of a child struggling with transgenderism and dealing with trans hate. See, what you did is you just immediately created a way to put yourself in a victim class. And people love being oppressed, man. And if they're not getting real legitimate oppression, they'll manufacture that shit so that the world will feel sorry for them. And ultimately, in this culture we're living in now, have to bow down to them and listen to every fucking stupid thing they say, because now they're part of the victim class.
Yeah, see, I just can't do it. There's something in me that will not allow me to back the fuck down. That is why I will probably never be rich and famous, and really don't think I want to be real with you, because I think it's so fucking fake what you have to eat now. I'm not going to eat a shit sandwich and you tell me it's fucking steak. I'm not going to do it. And these people nowadays, I would imagine you're the same way I am. If you're respectful towards me, regardless of what you are in this world, I think you're going to be respectful back to them. It's when you start telling me how I meant something that I posted, or that I meant something in a hateful way that I had no malice whatsoever. When you start twisting my words to fit your narrative, and I literally, look, we've got a big following from the gay community that listens to this because of what I'm about to say. I do not give a fuck what you do. If I wanted to wake up tomorrow morning and be gay, I would be gay and I'd be happy. But I wouldn't tell my best friends they had to be gay with me. I want you to live happy. I want you to do what you want to do, but you can't make me believe the shit that you believe. I can sit and tell people all day, I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good one. Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Sometimes I don't know why. He loves me, but I know he does, right? I can sit here and tell atheists all day about faith, but because they've never seen or experienced faith, they're never going to get it. And it's the same thing with some of this other shit. I'm never going to get it. But if I sit here and say to you, I am going to be nice to you, I'm going to be respectful to you until you cross the line and tell me I'm being a bigot or an asshole or whatever because I don't agree with you, then I'm going to be a complete fucking cunt to you, and you're going to get the wrath of hell brought down upon you.
Yeah, I'm a live and let live kind of person until it starts affecting other people. Listen, I love sex, dude. I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I love sex. It's like one of my favorite things.
You seem like the top.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot, and even the bad stuff, I don't turn it down. But I've often joked about it. I said if I could take a pill every day and choose to be gay if I wanted to be, I mean, that's just more sex, right? I could just have more people to choose from, but I'm not. And so, I say that jokingly to remind people. It's like, listen, I don't care what you do. I don't want you affecting somebody that, that's going to be victimized. If it's a kid or even culture has suddenly got to bow down and use your vocabulary or something like that, we're going to push back on that. Yeah. Now, that's not hate. That's not what hate is. Not. That's me saying, look, I love you, but let's not be stupid, okay? Because you keep pushing on this thing. And that's why a lot of people out there that are gay, and again, I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time. I work with and love a lot of people who are gay, right? Yeah. You can't be in that world.
Absolutely the same.
Yeah. You can't help it. But the issue is not that. It's whatever you want to call it, the LGBTQ plus, whatever, that alphabet activist community. And that's exactly what it is. You know, I know tons of people out there that says I'm gay, I'm lesbian, whatever. But they're like, but we don't identify with that group, because that's not about equality. That those people out there who are bitching and moaning about that stuff and really trying to put pressure on people, whether it's politically or legally or anything like that, and preaching about all the hate crap. You know, those people are not after equality. Those people are after control.
Yes.
And they're not going to relax until they get it. And so I'm not going to let anybody control me. I don't give a shit about your sexual orientation. I'm not going to I don't do good with being on anybody's damn leash. And so when I feel the pressure of that leash trying to pull me one direction, we're going to pull the other way. If you identify that as hate, well, then you got an issue that you need to work on, because that's anything but hate. That's just me saying, look, you do you, but don't pull that leash and try to make me do you too.
Yeah, don't make me try to believe what if I'm not doing it to you, don't do it to me. Well, I'm not trying to push the straight narrative towards you. I don't want you to be a straighty like the rest of us. I told you earlier, I would love if I was better at it to do comedy. The one comedy bit that I've ever wrote when I actually sat down and do it, it was about finding out your dad was gay and how you found out. And at the end of the bit, I won't ruin, I'll tell you afterwards so nobody can fucking steal it. But my dad's not gay. I'm not gay. It's funny. Like it's in a weird way, like it's me tilting my hat and saying to you folks that's in that community that are cool as fuck and can take a joke, this is for you. I like you. I like anybody that can take a joke that doesn't take life too seriously. These folks that are yelling at people now at comedy clubs, these people that are doing all this other shit. I always say this. Do you know what fucking Richard Pryor would have done to one of these son of a bitches back in the day? If they'd have yelled out at him, they'd have lit him the fuck on fire. Or he would have lit them the fuck on fire.
Yeah. Man,
there's no respect. There's no respect from the other side, but we're supposed to be respectful.
Well, you tell me. I mean, you know, folks want to sit there and say, I'm this. I mean, I don't have any alphabets, I don't think. I mean, there's nothing that identifies me. I mean, my name is Chad Prather.
Yeah.
You know, I know who my daddy was. I know where I came from. I know where home was. I know where I'm going in life. I'm pretty secure in that sense of identity and destiny. I don't need to go out there and give a whole bunch of labels to tell you where I sit in what community. So the height of insecurity to me is when you aren't comfortable enough in yourself and who you are, that you got to keep qualifying yourself to the general public and get pissed off when they don't qualify you and categorize you just enough or exactly the way you want it to be done. So for me, it's like, you're insecure in yourself. That's your issue. You deal with that. Don't get mad at me because I'm not helping to make you feel more secure. Ultimately, that's on you. You know, I can remember I was in Hollywood with my longtime agent. He's a gay guy. You know, William's a gay guy. I mean, but he can take it. We joke around and stuff. We were in Hollywood. We were at the agency office there in Beverly Hills. And smoking hot women, dude. I mean, smoking hot women walking in and out of this office. And one of the receptionists, she had to walk onto the elevator with us and use her little key card so we could go up to see the executives, you know, up in the private, you know, echelons up there. And she was gorgeous, dude. And she walked off the elevator and the door closed. I looked at my little gay agent and I said, "Did you see that girl?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Nothing, like just nothing. That didn't do anything for you." And he goes, "Not a fucking thing." And I was like, "Well, at least you know who you are, brother."
Yeah. No shit. Well, I'm telling you, I would have. See, I couldn't have been in those situations. I would have got me too'd so fucking fast if I had any power. But yeah, I'm not the one. Like I try to tell. There's a reason why I have to upfront with women in country music, because that's my thing. Like there's nothing that I like more than a woman that can sing. It is the most attractive thing in the world to me. I don't know why, but it is. Like it just gets everything going. And when she's good looking on top of it, it's over with. I'll buy the wedding ring fucking tomorrow. But I make it very clear to all women now that if I'm doing a one-on-one show with you, we're either doing it through Zoom or there's 6 other fucking people in the room, because I'm going to say some slick shit and not mean to, but it's just because of I'm a man. Like I know what I like. I know what I want. And I'm going to say some dumb shit. and I'm not getting Me Too. I'm not going to be podcaster.
Yep.
Is no longer allowed to whatever on Apple anymore because he hit on girl. Like, what the fuck?
I've had people who tried to come after me for over the years. They see that blue check mark or whatever, and I've had everything from stalkers to shit I don't know. People that want to use your social media by running you down to try to build their own. We were talking about that earlier. There are people out there who see people with a big following and they try to target you because they get a following. It's a weird phenomenon, but it happens. People get a following because they're victims. I've had people try to call me out and say I did all this shit to them, and I said, look, let me be real clear. And anybody that knows me, they know this. I don't travel alone. I travel with a crew. I've been in town this week. My longtime road manager has been with me. I got girls that have worked for me historically. I got girls that work for me now. They know how I am. But I tell people, I say, listen, I've never touched a kid. I got 4 of them myself. I said, but they're all grown now. I said, I ain't never touched a kid. I've never had sex with a guy, and I've never kissed a woman that didn't want to be kissed.
Yeah.
And at 50 years old, that's a trend that ain't going to change at this point.
Right. I don't understand why people though they go after folks like you. It's probably because it's probably because you're wholesome. It's probably because you are the Southern values that me and you and people where we're from. We idolize that type of person, and people just are never going to get that. Maybe the South isn't all that bad. I try to convince people all the time to where I grew up. You could look at it from the outside looking in and be like, they're the most ass backwards, racist fucking people on the planet. Everybody's granddaddy must have been a grand dragon and you're fucking next, But because of where we grew up, we were learned to talk or learn to treat the janitor like the fucking principal or the president. Didn't matter what color or whatever. Race relations down here had already been over and done with. Like, and you're still gonna have hateful ass people, but you have hateful people everywhere. We're down here we're at ease if you're different. It doesn't bother us as long as you don't force the issue. And I think people come after folks like you, man, just because they don't understand that you are that way, that you have the ability to say a joke about somebody that is different than you, regardless of what the difference is, because you're not saying it from a plate of hate. It's just a joke to you.
Yeah. And growing up, playing ball, traveling around, playing higher level baseball like I did, I tell people, I said, man, I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in the deep South where, my grandfather's generation and older, they dealt with a lot deeper race issues in Jim Crow South than my parents did. My parents, when they came along, their generation was more about, love and peace and understanding and things like that. There were still race issues, don't get me wrong, but they tried to raise my generation to do better, to think better, to be better. When I was a kid, elementary, middle school, I didn't think anything about having, black boys over to spend the night, right? Or going over to their house to spend the night and then playing baseball. You sleep basically four grown ass men in a hotel room with 2 double beds, and you didn't think about what color they were or anything like that. You just, that wasn't the world we live in. And that doesn't mean, those issues don't exist, but like, we don't think about things like that. Now, as a guy that's toured this country for years now, I'm in about 35 states a year, man, I've seen more crazy racist bullshit in the North.
Yeah.
There's more segregation in places like that than there are in even the deep South. Now, again, we could go into the reason why we're seeing a resurgence of everything's race. But it's like, that ain't the real world we live in, dude. We were just over at Live Oak the other night, and I see men and women. I see black and white. I see people of Asian persuasion. I see everybody in there having a good time, enjoying the same music, hugging each other's neck, and hadn't seen you in a long time. How you been? How's your family? And it's like, man, that ain't, you go online and nobody knows. They think that we're all at each other's throats. I got friends in Australia that say, man, you guys in America are kind of fucked up right now, aren't you? It's like, no, we're really not. but if you read Facebook, yeah, it would seem that way.
Yeah, I think that is literally Russian trolls. 99% of it are trolls from other countries trying to cause division. Did you know that the top 20 Christian Facebook pages were found out here recently, that only one of them was an actual page, and the rest of them
Wow.
was like, I mean, it's a Russian, like, what are they called, mining sites or whatever, that was on there, and they were pushing a hateful agenda. But from the outside looking in, everything I don't think we see, but like maybe 5% of the real world on social media, if that. The rest is just, but dude, I'm a conspiracy theory nut. Like I think that we're just getting fed bullshit to make us act certain ways and all this type of shit.
Yep.
Like I really do. I think everybody is pushing some type of agenda on social media, and unless you're smart enough to read through the bullshit and have your own perspective of life, like, and see how I judge people, how they treat me, regardless of who the fuck they are, their stature, their background, or whatever. If you're a good person to me, I'm going to be a good person to you. But I can sit here and say that all day on here, and then somebody will take a fucking clip from this show and they'll be like, oh, Chad and Josh, they're fucking super racist. They hate the whole alphabet fucking army. Like, they're just the worst people alive. And it's like, no, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You took what you wanted to. You changed my words into your narrative because we don't fit in your box. You said earlier that people like are not, everybody classifying themselves as what they are. I hate that because that puts you in a fucking box. I never want to be put in a box. I don't understand why people want to be that. Why can't you just be you? Why can't you just be Chad? Why can't I just be Josh? And everybody just go on out their day and just be themselves.
Yeah. And that's the dangerous part, to take it even a step further, is when you can label somebody and then you classify them, you can file them away in that box, and you don't have to get to know them because you've labeled them. You didn't bother to get to know them. And so now when you pass by that box and you say, oh, Josh Terry, I see that label. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that guy. And it's like, well, do you know him? Well, I know what he said. Well, what did he say? Well, here's a sound bite. Well, shit, you can't judge somebody's life off of a fucking sound bite. That's intellectually disingenuous, but that's the world we're living in.
Well, dude, I probably could talk to you the rest of the fucking night, but I think I'm going to leave it at that one so I can do one with you in person, if that's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, anytime, brother. And I got to get you on. Got to get you on my show as well, the Chad Prather show. So people want to get into some of that political and cultural debate. The Chad Prather show, we're doing it. I do it 4 nights a week. So
all you got to do is ask me. And if you want to know why I'm cutting it short, we got some bad weather that's about to roll through here, so you're getting clicky. So
I saw the Weather Channel app pop up. But I will tell folks, watch chad.com or chadprather.com, either way, and got a live tour scheduled. Tell people come out there and find it.
Cool, dude. It was a pleasure meeting you last week. I hope we get some beers and get to hang out again soon. And we'll have to get you back and actually help us host and some shit with some of the Nashville big ones.
I'd love it, dude. I appreciate you, Josh. And man, I really do appreciate what you're doing, man. I love your voice. So keep it up.
I love you too, bro. I appreciate it, man. And thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out with me and Mr. Chad. And thank you for listening to the Josh Terry podcast.